Okay, so this is pack one of what I'm going to create with just some skills and basic questions sometimes students do forget. These questions can be on the higher or the lower foundation. Sometimes it's just something we need a review on. So the first question I'm going to start with is the the averages. And there's going to be 5 questions in this video, and then hopefully it's not too much to watch. So first the question has asked me for the mode. So if we look at the question, it's telling me in this table of information, it's the number of badges gained by younger girls in a guide group. So first we have to be able to read the actual table. So if you look here, it says number of badges and it says frequency. So this says 2 girls got 0 badges, 8 girls got 1 badges, 4 girls got 2 badges, and so on. So step 1, you need to be able to read that table. And then step 2, mode, we all hopefully know it means the most common. So the most common in this group, people would assume, so first misconception, they would go to frequency and they would say there's 2 3s. That is incorrect, okay? 3 does appear the most. However, in a table, slightly different, we're looking for the group that has the most girls in. So if you look down here, you can see that 8 is the biggest. So that means 1 is going to be our mode, because that means 8 girls got 1. And if I asked you to write out all this data, you would see 1 8 times, which would be the most. So with a table, first misconception people make is the mode, okay? It's the highest number in your frequency, and then you read off whatever the question is. In this case, it was badges. The next question is asking for the mean. So this wants to know, what is the average of badges per girl? So 2 things we need to know here is we need to know the number of girls and we need to know the total number of badges. So reading from the table, first, nice and easy, if I add up my frequency, that will tell me how many girls I have. So 2, 8, 4, 3, 5 and 13. If I add them together, I will have 25 girls. Now I need to work out how many badges I have. So if we read the table, if you think about it, if 2 girls have 0, that means in total they have 0 badges. If 8 girls have 1 badge, that means in total they have 8 badges. So you need to remember here, you basically times in this number of badges by frequency. So if I multiply them all out, 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 5 is 20, and 3 times 5 is 15. So now if I add this column up, this is going to tell me how many badges I have in total. So if I add 8, 8, 9, 20 and 15, my answer is going to be 60. So now if I'm going to work out the actual mean of this, I need to divide the number of badges by the number of girls. So that's going to be 60, and I'm going to divide that by 25. And my answer is 2.4, and that is the mean. So on average, I would expect a girl to have 2.4 badges. Okay. Right, next question is telling me that there are 15 older girls in a group. So 15 older. We had 25 for the younger. And it told me that the mean of their badges is 4.4, so just slightly higher. The question wants to know what would be the mean of all the girls. So that means I need to know how many girls I have in total, which should be nice and easy because we have 15 here and we have 25 here. So 15 and 25, I have 40 girls. Excuse that bit wrong. And now I need to know the total number of badges for all the girls. So I know that there's 60 for the younger girls. I need to work out what is the older girls, okay? So I know that the mean is 4.4. I don't actually know what their badges are. However, I know, I'm going to call it X, the total number of badges. If they divide that by 15, they got an answer as 4.4. So if you do 4.4 times by 15, we get an answer of 66. So now I know the older girls got 66, the younger girls got 60. In total, 66 and 60 is 126. So now if I need to work out the mean for all the girls, I need all the badges divided by all the girls, and that will tell me the mean for all of the girls with their badges, and it's 1.35. And that is the answer. So averages, something that people sometimes need a quick review before their exam. Right, next question we're going to look at, again, it's a mean question, but this time, again, it's not telling us what each actual thing is. So in this question, it tells me 25 students in Class A did the science exam. 30 students in Class B did the same science exam. The mean mark for the 25 students in A was 67.8, and the mean for all 55 students, so notice how they add to 55, is 7.2. How can we use this information to work out the mean for just Class B? Okay, so let's split this into two things. So first, I want to work out what does all the science class in Group A, so in Class A, add up to. Okay, so I know, I'm going to call it X. So I know that they added up all the grades in Class A. Okay, so Class A. They divided it by 25, and the answer was 67.8. So if I times 67.8 by 25, that will get me what all the scores add up to, just out of the 25 students, which is 1,695. Okay, so that was the total of what all the 25 students add up to. Now I'm going to look at all the students. So remember there's 55 students, and I'm going to call this one Y. So if we add up all of the 55 students, we divide this by 55, I know the mean is 72.0. So if I times 72 by 55, that gets me what all the students add up to, which is 3,960. Okay, now I can use this information to work out the mean for B, because if I subtract from all the students, Class A, that will have the remaining of B, what just Class B would add up to. So I need to do 3,960 minus 1,695, and I'm going to divide that just by how many I have in Class B, because that's just going to get me their marks. So if I divide by 1,695, I will get 2,265, and then divide that by 30. My answer is 75.5. So on average, the 75.5 is the average for Class B. Okay. Right, next question, 2 marks, is prime factors. Some people forget how to express prime factors as a product of its primes. Good idea is write down your first few primes. So remember, a prime only has 2 factors, itself and 1. So we have 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. Okay, so that might do it. So what you have to do is, this is one technique, 56. I know that 2 goes into 56. How many times does 2 go in? It goes in, sorry, bit of a brain block, 28 times. If you circle your prime and then continue that pattern on. So 28, again, I know 2 goes into 28, 14 times. Circle your prime, continue. 2 goes in 7 times. They are both primes. So now my tree has stopped. So that means my prime factors are 2 times 2 times 2 times 7. So write that as index notation, and that is writing something as a product of its primes. This next question, I'm going to use products of my primes to help explain this. So if you're asked to find out the lowest common multiple of something, it's basically asking you to write out the times table of that number, of both of them, and then see where they eventually match. Okay, so I'm going to use products of primes to help me with this. So I've already done 56 in that previous question. So I know, if I write it here, it's 2 times 2 times 2 times 7. So now I'm just going to do 40. So 2 and 20, 2 and 10, 2 and 5. So here, I'm going to write 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to use a Venn diagram to help me explain this. Anything with a product of its primes and its 40s will go in this one, and 56 will go into this one. So anything that they both have in common will go in the middle. So I'm going to cross them out so we can see. So they both have a 2. They both have a 2. They both have a 2. 40 has a 5 by itself, and 56 has a 7 by itself. If you're looking for the highest common factor, you would multiply that middle section together, which would be 2 times 2, which is 4, times 2, which would be 8. Lowest common multiple, you will times all the numbers you see. So lowest common multiple is going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 5 times 7. So we need to basically do, we've already done the 8, so we need to times that by 5 and then by 7. So my lowest common multiple is going to be 280. Okay, so for this question, highest common factor, it's only things that they both have in common. So if I do this without a Venn diagram, they both have 2 squared, they both have a 3, and they both have 1 5. So then if I multiply these out, my answer is going to be 60, and I don't even know what the numbers are. Right, last question people have a little bit of a misconception with is working out the nth term of an expression. So if it's a arithmetic sequence, first work out the difference. So here you can clearly see that's plus 6, plus 6, plus 6. So that means in my nth term, I am going to be doing 6n, okay? So I need to be doing 6 times something and then whatever it is. So if I put 6 times 1 in, my answer is 6. But if you look in your sequence, we need to have 11. So how do I go from 6 to 11? I have to add 5. And we can check if that works. If you substitute 2 in, you should get 17. So 6 times 2 is 12, plus 5 is 17. So that is your nth term. Then it says, is 121 a term in the sequence? Explain your answer. So all we have to do here is take the nth term we found, make it equal 121, and try and solve that question. So 6n is going to be equal to 116. If I try and divide 116 by 6, if it's a decimal, that means it cannot happen. So if I divide by 6, I get 19.3 recurring. Okay, so n cannot be a decimal. Because remember, when we're talking about n, it's talking about a position. Okay, so that's why it does not work.